Hi everyone, thanks for joining me today. I'm here to show you how to start off a hexagon granny cardigan. Starting a hexagon cardigan pattern is very similar to just starting a granny square. If you haven't yet mastered a granny square, I do recommend that you try that first. So head on over to some of my other videos and there is one in there about how to start a granny square. So I definitely recommend that you're familiar with a granny square first. The concept is very similar. So we're going to start with a magic ring. But this time, instead of making our initial round of a square, which had 4 corners or 4 sides, we're going to need 6. So in exactly the same way as a granny square would start, we're going to have a turning chain of 3 because we're using a UK treble crochet, and then 2 more trebles to make up our first cluster. So that's cluster number 1. Now, I mentioned in my last video that based upon tension and yarn and what pattern you'd like to use, some people use a different number of chains in their corners. I normally would use 1 chain in a corner, but for this project I am actually going to go up to 2 because sometimes my gauge is a little bit tight. So in every corner in this pattern I'm going to use 2 chains. So I've now got 1 cluster and a corner space. I'm going to repeat the same thing, so we're going to do clusters of 3 trebles, so 1, 2, 3, and then 2 chains to make a corner. So that's 2 corners. 1, 2, 3 clusters, and then my corner. 1, 2, 3 trebles, so that's 4 clusters and a corner. 1, 2, 3 clusters and a corner. 1, 2, 3 clusters. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got all 6 clusters of 3 trebles, but I haven't made a gap between these 2, so I need to add my 2 chains to make sure there's a corner gap, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the 3rd chain. So 1, 2, 3. So that's the top chain in our turning chain. Now I'm going to very gently pull on my tail yarn, not my working yarn. I tend to find it easier to hold the work flat when I do this and just wiggle from side to side, but pull in that tail yarn and it closes up the magic ring. So that's our first round, and it does look tight here. It looks like a tiny star, but that does now have 6 sides and 6 corners like a hexagon should do. As always, I do encourage you to turn your work with every round here, so I'm going to be doing that myself. And what I like to do is I like to slip stitch into the actual corner itself rather than being on the edge of it, but that's just personal preference. Now each round, like a square granny square, starts with a turning chain of 3 and 3 trebles into that space. Now the way I like to do my granny squares or my granny hexagons is that I like to half form my first corner before I then continue around the whole round and finish that corner when I get back to the beginning again. So that's what I'm going to continue to do here. Now, like the beginning of a granny square, these are all going to be corners at this point, so each of these needs to have 3 trebles, 2 chains and another 3 trebles to make it a corner. So 3 trebles in this hole, 2 chains, 1, 2, 3 trebles. So all in the same hole. I've got 1, 2, 3 trebles, 2 chains, 3 trebles. So that's a corner. I'm then going to move around to the next corner space and do exactly the same thing. And I'm going to repeat this the whole way around. So all 6 of my corners should end up with 3 trebles, 2 chains, and then another 3 trebles. Okay, so the same in there. 3 trebles, 2 chains, 3 trebles. Same in the next hole. 3 trebles, 2 chains, 3 trebles. I'm just going to continue this all the way around. What you might notice at this point and from here on out is that your hexagon won't sit exactly flat. With a square, a granny square, I would want it to sit flat, but basically we're just adding too many stitches into a hexagon to be able to make it sit flat. So this will start to ripple, and that is very, very normal. The more rounds you do, the more obvious it will get as well. So you can already start to see mine isn't, I could probably make it sit flat for the time being, but naturally it does want to wave a little bit, and that's normal because we've put essentially too many stitches in one hole. 1, 2, 3 trebles, 2 chains, back in the same hole, 1, 2, 3. So we're pretty much there, but just remember that our first corner from the round below currently only has 3 trebles in here, so I need to put my other 3 trebles into the same hole. So 1, 2, 3. So we've got the 3 trebles and the 3 trebles in that space. What I do need to do is add my 2 chains and then slip stitch it to join it, so that we've got all of the trebles and the corner space in that one corner. Okay, so now all of our corners have 3 trebles, 2 chains, 3 trebles. All of them 3 trebles, 2 chains, 3 trebles, and we've still got 6 sides and 6 corners, so we're doing well. And this is exactly how we continue, very much like a granny square. So again, I do like to slip stitch into that hole itself, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Now this time around we will have some flat sides to consider, so we're going to start with our chain of 3 and then another 2 trebles, and like any other round I am going to leave that as my first corner, and I'm going to complete the corner when I get back to it when I've worked all the way around. Now this one here, this space is the next space I need to work into, and that is on a flat edge. So very much like a granny square, on a flat edge we only need to put 3 trebles. This isn't going to be a corner, so it doesn't need any chains at all. It's literally just 3 trebles in a flat edge. But then this space is the next one we're going to work into, and that is a corner again. So we're going to do the same corner sequence in here, which is 3 trebles, 2 chains, and another 3 trebles. That's our corner sequence. 3 trebles, 2 chains, 3 trebles in a corner. The next hole over is this one, and that's a flat side. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3 trebles just on their own with no chains because it's a flat edge. And then the next space along is this one here, and that one's a corner space. So again, the same corner sequence, which is 3 trebles, 2 chains, 3 trebles. And this is how we're going to continue working our hexagon. Okay, so corner space had 3 trebles, 2 chain, 3 trebles. The next space over is this one here, and this space is a flat side, so we're going to do 3 trebles. 1, 2, 3, and then this one here is a corner, so 1, 2, 3 trebles, 2 chain, 3 trebles. Oops. How are we doing? Nearly back. Okay, a flat side space, which is just 3 trebles. And then a corner space, which is 3 trebles. 2 chains, 3 trebles. Flat side here is just 3 trebles. And the next space is a corner space, so it has the whole corner sequence of 3 trebles, 2 chains, 3 trebles. So very much the same principle as a granny square, it's just that there are 6 sides and 6 corners. Everything other than that follows the exact same process. Okay, we're pretty much back now, so I've got one more flat side to do, which is just 3 trebles. And then this last space here is the one we've already half worked into. So it's got its 3 trebles in. So I'm going to add the other 3 trebles. And I do need to add my 2 chains to make the space in the corner. Then I'm going to slip stitch it to join into the top chain. Okay, and now you can really see that it just doesn't really want to sit flat because there are too many stitches, and that is really normal. What I'm going to do is show you now one that I made, my first hexagon that I started making, which is a little bit bigger, and that it becomes really evident here that it's definitely not going to sit flat. Now, in terms of the folding, the best way to do it is to fold one end in half. So if you take one of the straight sides and fold it in half, and then just fluff it around a little bit, follow it around, and you can see here this is going to make one side of my cardigan. Obviously it's tiny at the moment, it's barely even newborn size, but if I were to have another one, I do actually have one here in another colour that's much smaller, so just use your imagination a little bit. Obviously this is tiny, but if this was my other side of my other hexagon, you can see how you'd line up the 2 sides here, and that this is going to be one sleeve this side, and this is going to be the other sleeve, and then we can open the fronts out and join the back. So this is how the cardigan is going to form. We basically get 2 hexagons that are the same size, and we line them up together, and we join them at the back, and we join the sleeves. So that's how we are going to end up joining it, but the priority at the moment is to make 2 hexagons that are the same size. So yeah, it will just make big hexagons that just don't sit flat, and that is okay. But when they're folded correctly, they do sit flat.